So to get started at rotating our cube, I'm going to select the enemy script and drag and drop that onto the enemy in the scene. If I select the enemy in the hierarchy panel, you can see that the enemy script has been attached. So now this script is part of the scene and will take effect. What I want to do is to update the rotation of the cube in the update event of the enemy script, because that happens on each and every frame and it helps us achieve continuous motion. So I'm going to load up MonoDevelop and enter the update event here. Now I'm going to be calling on the transform class. So to do that, I type the word transform because I'm accessing the transform class, and I'm going to press a full stop or a period character. And once I press the period character, it lets me choose any of the variables or functions that are part of that class to access. So what I'm going to do is open up a Firefox window here, and you can see what I have in front of me is the Unity documentation, and I have searched for transform, which is the transform class. And if I scroll down, you can see a list of all the variables that are part of that class. So position, local position, Euler angles, forward, rotation, root. And if I scroll down further, you can see all of the functions that are part of that class: translate, and in particular rotate, look at, transform, point, find, is child of, and lots of different things. And so we can access these by putting the period symbol, and notice in the list that we get a list of all the properties, the variables, and the functions that are part of that class. So we want to rotate the cube object, so I'm going to press ROT, and straight away it finds for me the rotate function that is part of the transform class. So I'm going to select rotate, and I'm going to put opening brackets and closing brackets and the semicolon. I'm just going to leave it like that for the moment and bring back the Firefox window. Let's take a look at the rotate function by scrolling down to the functions here, and you can see we have rotate. I'll select rotate, and it gives us various functions or versions of rotate that we can call. So the transform class and the rotate function. I'm going to scroll down a little, and you can see that it gives us example code. Now it lists those examples by default in JavaScript, but you can easily change that. Let's scroll down to the second sample. I'm going to select JavaScript, and I can choose, for example, C#. And what it does is it shows us an example of using the rotate function in C#. So here it is. So we've got the rotate function. It gives us the X angle, the Y angle, and the Z angle. So this is the amount in degrees that we want to rotate around the X axis, the amount to rotate around the Y, the amount to rotate around the Z axis. What I want to do is to continually rotate the cube around the Y axis by a speed of 90 degrees per second. So I'm going to minimize this window here. We have this rotate function. We know that the first parameter is the amount that we want to rotate around the X axis, so the X angle. So I don't want to rotate around the X axis at all, so I can put 0 for that. But I do want to rotate around the Y axis, and in particular I want to rotate 90 degrees per second. So to do that in Unity, I can type 90, and to emphasize that it is per second, all I have to do is multiply 90 by this value, time.delta time. If you multiply any number by time.delta time, it is the equivalent of saying per second. So I want to rotate, beg your pardon, by 90 degrees per second. And I want to rotate 0 on the Z-axis because I don't want to rotate around the Z-axis at all. So here we have transform.rotate, and we're rotating around the Y-axis. I'm going to press Ctrl S on the keyboard to save that code, minimize MonoDevelop, and press play on the toolbar. And straight away you can see the enemy cube is now rotating by 90 degrees per second around the Y-axis. So that's how we can get up and running with the transform class here that is attached to the enemy game object.